evening, YouTube. You guys are watching another segment of TheCaliEffect, King of Games, and today we're going to be doing something different. I mean, face it, no one wants to see a Spiral tech profile, but my man's, he topped 8.
Top it, yeah.
Yeah, topped 8 with Spiral, and basically what this series is going to do, we're going to show you some of the tips and tricks that you guys could be using to up your game. Now, if you guys want to see the Spiral list, boop, it's right there and you'll be able to see it. This is going to be more of a player interview. So, Mr. Roberts, we obviously were at the Las Vegas Regional. What was your motivation to play Spiral?
Huh. There is no motivation to play Spiral.
I told him I was going to get with some hard questions.
What was the motivation to play Spiral?
Well, I know Spiral God said you sucked.
Yeah, true. I mean, I'm not a Spiral God, but I mean, a match takes 6th place, so I guess. No, motivation to play Spiral, I hate that deck, but
just going with wins.
My friend convinced me to play it last minute because he's like, you gotta go with what wins. I'm like, you right, so we decided to play it. Like,
yeah, unfortunately, Spiral does have a stronghold on the competitive scene. Why do you think that Spiral is so dominant right now?
Hand traps.
So it's not necessarily Spiral, it's just the ability to have hand traps and make boards with less cards? Is that what you're saying? Kind of like Zodiac?
It's basically a 2-card combo, and you make a double helix, and that, I mean, look, what the thing is though is 50% of the time your helix is gonna get ash because your opponent has a hand trap. So you make the helix, you attempt to resolve helix, you fail to resolve helix. You better have an option for their helix because you're gonna lose if you don't. Or if they're playing Trickstar, you make helix, you attempt to resolve helix, you fail at it too, and you better have a hand trap for the reincarnation. Like that's really about it. Like, what else can you do in this game?
So those simple interactions are the reasons why hand traps are so powerful, but also why Spiral is so powerful. 2-card combos making the double helix, but more importantly, those other 4 cards can be used for resources towards the hand trap scenario, or the scenarios that you were talking about. It was an 8-round regional with 137 people, 134 or something like that.
I have no.
It was 130 something people. Not a huge regional, but still nonetheless a regional level event. And a nigga like me is not playing for 8 hours. So what exactly was going through your mind, and what decks did you play?
All Trickstar and all Spiral. I did not play a single. Oh no, I played 1 Light Sword.
Oh,
but that was like the most random of Light Sword decks. It was the only breath of fresh air.
So I'm assuming it was like in your first 3 rounds.
No, actually round 6.
Oh, so he had a good record himself.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, I don't think people were really expecting his kind of variant of Lightsworn.
Okay.
He ended up scrubbing out after round 6, but most people Spiral is so fragile of a deck that you can sometimes just look at your hand and pass. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of to the point where I can see why most of the records were kind of eh. Mm-hmm. But no, like this man I think just came out of the blue, and the way he built his deck was just so unique. I think that's the reason why he was doing as well as he did. He understood the idea of Lightsworns and the interaction and milling, and honestly, I think most of the time he just resolved grass, and most people just didn't know what to do. So.
Oh wow, that's crazy. So you said you play, other than the Lightsworn player, all Spirals, all Trickstars?
All Spiral, all
I'm assuming 4 Spirals, 3 Trickstars?
No, actually, let me see. I have my tournament report.
Hey, there you go. You've been holding back on me with that tournament report?
Let's see. Round 1 Spiral, round 2 Trickstar, round 3 Trickstar, round 4 Spiral, round 5 Spiral, round 6 Lightsworn, round 7 Spiral, round 8 Spiral.
So what, 6 lights or 5 Spirals, 2 Trickstars, 1 Lightsworn?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds about right. And were there any matchups that you remembered in particularly where there were some cards, or certain key cards, or like interesting cards that people were playing to throw you off? I know you're playing obviously an interesting deck, and we'll go over it a little later, but we're talking about other players.
Other players, interesting cards? No, not really. It was all pretty standard from what I watch a lot of live streams from big YCSs to kind of get insight as to what people are thinking when it comes to the format. I own a business, so it's the same thing I do all the time, study what my competition is doing, and just observing how they play. There was nothing really spicy per se that I could sit back and go, dang, I wasn't expecting that. I mean, evenly matching the main board is pretty common these days. Siphon Gear Gamma is not really new. Spicy tech choice card called Pseudospace comes from YCS Prague anyway, so that's not really something new either. No, mostly. I mean, the only two real like good players that I really played against, in my opinion, was Isala and Thomas. And they're my only two losses. So
okay.
Fact of the matter is, and they just piloted Spiral the way I piloted it, which is the going second build, and that's, I think, the only real correct way to play Spiral.
Okay, so talk to us a little about this going second build. What is the concept of this? I know Spiral, you know, before this going second concept came out, Spiral make double helix. If your helix doesn't get Ash Blossom, you end up with tri-gate firewalls and quite a huge board. What is the concept of going second?
The concept of going second is to basically, it's the ability to combo off and make master plan to go in the Decode Talker and Sleeper, backed up with a Last Resort, and of course your Terraform and your what is it called? The super
resort
spell. Yeah, the resort. And kind of like pick apart your opponent's board. But the going second build is mainly built just to like out resource your opponent, in my opinion.
So it's built for the grind game, you
basically. I think in the entire tournament, I resolved Helix into master plan 3 times.
Wow,
yes.
that's pretty crazy, seeing that used to be the deck's main thing.
And 6 of my matches, I was cherried.
Oh.
At least once or twice in the match.
Wow, that's crazy.
So I pretty much played all my matches with Tough and Agent, Tough and Agent, Tough and Agent.
So it's Tough Agent Sleeper Control.
Basically. And, honestly, like really early on in the tournament, round 1, I got this deck list at 1:30 in the morning from my friend Joaquin and Oscar. And
hey, go ahead and give them shout outs. Oscar Villas and Joaquin.
We'll do the shout out. Joaquin Haas. I'll do the shout out at the very end. But very last minute, I was gonna play BA Infernoid actually, and I thought,
that would have got a deck profile.
Yeah, that would have got a deck profile. I know, right? And last minute, they told me, no, you gotta play with wins. So they told me they had the fire list, so I took the fire list with it.
Okay, yeah, hey, look, that's, I mean, I ain't gonna blame you. At the end of the day, don't get me wrong, fellas. We really want to get you guys some awkward deck profiles that top, but sometimes you just gotta go what you know, and it's really hard to win with those bad decks, or not the bad decks, but the lesser decks. When this deck is so well proven and well versed.
Yeah. So like last minute, I decided I was hunting for the cards all morning, and then thanks to all the support of the community here, I got everything I needed.
I mean, you could have just went to me. I had it all.
I mean, the dig for it's different though. Okay? And so like, but they all had it on hand, and we have a pretty good competitive base out here, which keeps all these kind of weird random tech cards on hand, so it's kind of beneficial. So playing it last minute, I didn't even know how to play the deck going second. I had honestly.
Well, you don't know how to play Spiral according to Spiral Guy.
No, I don't know how to play Spiral. I think I've played 3 actual local tournaments with Spiral, and then 2 others with full power Spiral. So the combos are still very, very hazy for me. But I just looked at the deck, and my round 1 was kind of like my test round to see how I wanted to play the deck.
So the test round against the mirror match. Oh yeah, that sounds great.
And I played against the mirror match, and the guy wasn't terrible. He just really bricked. He didn't open very well, so that gave me a chance to really like memorize how I wanted to play the deck. And the entire time, this man didn't main board cherries. I opened just enough to go on the double helix, and then you got Ash. So I was like, okay, fine, cool. So I'm just gonna play. I realized early on that everyone's gonna be playing hand traps. So I said, let me just play grind game Spiral. Like, let me do what this man and I saw in Netherlands did. He played Tough Agent Control with the helix going into Tough. So most of the time, I went in, summon Tough, effect target, summon Agent, effect target, and then swing for 38 and keep my hand traps in hand and pass turn. Like,
wow.
Or go into Baguska and pass. Like, that's kind of how I played my games. And that first match, I was cherried both games 2 and 3. Games 2, I got cherried, and I won game 1. I didn't play game 3 with this man. And I was like, huh, well, that kind of sucks. So I have to learn how to play Spiral without Helix.
Yeah.
So it was at that moment that I said, if I get ashed, gammaed, or cherried, I just need to say forget.
Or ogre.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
or ogre.
although that's 12 hand traps right there, so that's.
So I looked at it and I said, you know what? Forget trying to play Helix, master plan in the sleeper. Let's just try and play Tough Agent Control. And that's what we did. And I don't think anyone really expected it, because doing that kind of made most of the hand traps dead in their hand, mostly garnets, which I kind of realized. And so I said, let me just do that. So, not relying on double helix left me very open to kind of like not worrying about whether or not I get Reaper or Ogre or Ash. I mean,
so basically all of their hand traps were useless.
My standard play was summon, attack, because I'm going second. I don't go first. I hate going first. I lose die rolls. I'm like, oh crap, you go first. Or if I lose die rolls, I'm like, oh darn, you get to go first. If I win die rolls, I'm like, you take first, sir. And they're like, oh, okay, cool. So I would just summon Agent, summon Tough, swing for 38, make Helix attempt to resolve it. If it doesn't resolve, oh well, I got 38 damage in. If it does resolve, then you're gonna lose next turn anyway. So
that's very, very smart playing. There was a couple of techs, or not necessarily techs, but a couple of interesting cards I know our players are looking at when they see this deck profile. Go ahead and go over them, you know, at your time, whatever you want to talk about. The interesting techs that you have going on.
Well, I mean, interesting techs. I mean, the list is pretty standard. We played 10 hand traps, obviously. We played 3 Tough, 3 Agent. The generic spiral stuff, there's no explanation of that. As far as, you know, we're always playing Upstart to do 39 cards because we don't want to have any more. We want consistency as possible.
Hey, don't get that Upstart ashed. That's
facts.
The only thing to ash now.
Facts. Foolish Burial, Rhoda. I opted to play Set Rotation and Pseudospace.
Okay.
Those are the 2 cards that were on the list that I don't think were very very commonly known. I saw a couple of the good players like Asala playing it. I saw I think he was playing it at least. I don't know. I couldn't remember what I saw. But I do when I saw his matches. But I did see one other player playing Pseudospace, and Pseudospace is actually with set rotation is pretty good. When you're going second, you have the fear of being evenly matched. So having the set rotation and being able to set rotation that when you did open, it actually happened to me round 1. I was going second, and I built a board, and I opened the set rotation, and this man said end of battle phase, and I said, you know,
set rotation,
player turn priority. Let's go set rotation and give him the Pseudospace, and he kind of cried, and that was how I get out of that. So having set rotation was very useful. And then at the worst case scenario, if I opened Pseudospace, it gave me, you know, a way to make another resort after by banishing a resort, and it made my terraformings more live because I would sometimes open multiple copies of Terraforming, and of course with Spiral you're happy to see your field spell, but you can't resolve Master Plan if you can't search a field spell. So Terraforming into Pseudospace after, you know, doing the resort allows me to keep a resort in deck, so if I do manage to somehow get Master Plan onto the board, I'm able to resolve it completely and gain my advantage. And you know, when Spiral resolves Master Plan, you basically win.
Is there anything you would change about the main board? Just the main board right now? Nothing?
Nothing. Honestly, everyone has a different build of Spiral. I think people are just playing Foolish Burial of Goods, they're playing the Assault, they're playing Double Summon.
Oh yeah, definitely. Talk to us about those cards, because you actually omit those out of your build.
I don't have a single one in those. And actually, I understand where Oscar was coming from when he took those all out. Those are all garnets. Like, yes, they're extenders, but again, remember, 50% of the time, your opponent, I mean, there's statistically, if you're playing 10 hand traps, and just with 6 alone, you have a 66% chance of opening a hand trap. So imagine with 10. So you're not going to typically resolve your double helix. So why play the cards that extend a combo when you're not going to resolve double helix most of the time? Why not play more utility cards? So when Oscar showed me, when I got the deck list from Joaquin, that's Oscar's deck list, I looked at it and I said, huh, there's a lot more utility cards in here as opposed to garnet cards. I'd rather open, you know, a hand trap over a double summon. And I think that's the reason why a lot of people did very poorly with their Spiral decks, or why they brick so much, because they're opening hands and they're going, huh, Assault, double summon, 1 Spiral card, and, you know, no other way to extend the play.
It's official, fam. Double summon's bad again.
It is. So, like, when they go, you know, double summon, and I go Gamma, and they go, oh, well, that kind of sucks. I've got 3 dead cards in hand now. Congratulations to me. And it's my turn, and I open, you know, I have still an Ash and a Max C, and I just go Resort Tough, search Agent, summon, proceed to win game. Like, I think that's where most players go wrong. This deck has enough garnets as it is. You don't want to open too many of them. And my biggest thing, the reason why Zodiac was so good in my opinion, is because it was so consistent.
Consistency is key to winning games. Agree.
And when you're going through an 8 to 10 round event, you don't want bricks.
Agreed.
And double summon and Assault and Mission Rescue are all bricks. Like, you don't want to open any of that. You want to search it and to make your combos so hard to get over. But honestly, if I have to choose between an unbreakable board or a very consistent deck, I'm gonna choose the most consistent deck, because
I was actually just talking to my wife about how Lightsworn can never top a major event. Hold on, Lightsworn fans. Before you guys talk about it, this was the exact same reason. Consistency going through a high level event is the key to winning games. If your deck is going to open cards, like you said, the Garnet is going to be a problem. But now that we're done with the main deck, let's talk about them spicy side deck cards.
Side decks.
There was an MVP, an obvious MVP of this side deck. What was it?
It was Chaos Hunter, high key.
Okay.
And Mind Crush.
And Chaos. I know Mind Crush is starting to make its way into the meta scene. I apologize for it going up in price. I should have never mentioned it. But what about that Chaos Hunter? The interactions with Chaos Hunter.
So my side deck was actually built for when I got. It was built half and half. And I know why. Oscar built it the way he did. It was built half to be going first, and it was built half to deal with Trickstar and other random things that you made. Pendulum Magician. But it was mostly built to go first if you end up having to go first against Spirals, so hence the Mind Crush and the Solemn Strikes. You side out the hand traps and you put in the Mind Crush and the Strikes, and they say, oh, you go first if you're playing a good player. And it is. All the bad Spiral players will try to take first. And that's just my opinion. And so they'll tell you to go first, and you have Mind Crushes and Strikes to, play through. It actually caught my opponent off guard one time. He realized I used my Ash Blossom on one of his searches, and he didn't read the strike because he just said whatever. And he summoned Helix, and I striked it, and he was like, "Oh, crap! I'm prepared to go first." I'm like, "Yeah, that's actually what got me my win there." But Chaos Hunter, though, for that Trickstar matchup, actually, this was actually an idea given to me by Dustin, and he had it in his sideboard, and I was like, "Huh, that's pretty cool." So I swooped up some Chaos Hunters because it actually prevents you from being reincarnated. Trickstar reincarnated.
And reincarnation is a pretty problematic card at time, especially paired with Troll.
Yeah, if they can draw and lock in reincarnation, you basically win. So what you do is when they actually activate like Candina to special summon Lycoris from hand, you just, and on resolution of that, you summon Chaos Hunter by discarding a card. It gets annoying cards from your hand to the graveyard that you don't want, and you put the 2,500 body on board. And Trickstar has a really hard time dealing with 2,500 attack points. Their only real out is that stupid Link monster, but that's again like they don't really.
They can't really get into.
They have to board wipe and that's again one of 2 copies of cards, and they have to lose board presence if they Dark Hole. You know what I mean? So they're really only out as Regeki and the Link monster. And so putting a 2,500 point body and they can't banish, it's pretty good to me. And they can't banish my cards because their card says they can banish. The ruling is, they can't banish my cards. And it actually helped against that Lightsworn player. This man resolved Grass on me.
So we had the Snow Engrave.
He resolved Grass. He had the Snow Engrave. And this man actually went ahead and summoned the Wolf. And I was actually able to put Chaos Hunter on the board. And that prevented him from actually doing anything in his grave at that point, and he couldn't get over Chaos Hunter.
Oh wow!
So I was.
So that's a sneaky good card. Very sneaky good card.
I know everyone's been talking about it, but I think honestly, this was probably the only thing that saved me from losing that particular game, and because
possibly the match.
I wouldn't say the match. He's a decent player, but I think that just the Chaos Hunter solidified it because he had to pretty much pass turn, and I had Decode Sleeper and Chaos Hunter. There was really no way he was getting out of that board.
So talk to us about this extra deck. Is there anything in particular you want to mention extra deck wise?
Half my extra deck was irrelevant.
Nothing really extra deck. I mean, it's pretty standard, right?
Honestly, like the way I played the deck, I played it just so basic. I played just, like I said, Sleeper and Tough.
And you say you resolved double Helix 3 times throughout the event.
Master Plan. I resolved it 2 more times for another Tough. Or like there was just times where Master Plan wasn't optimal. I needed to clear out problematic cards and out-resource my opponent because when I noticed they had 1 or 2 cards left in hand, I said, what's the best board they could possibly make after this? Well, let me just summon Tough, pop that card, summon Agent, pop that card, make the Helix resolve it, summon Tough again, pop another card, and now you're playing on 2 cards, and I haven't hand traps, so I think I'm gonna win. Like, and that's why I honestly made only Borlo, Decode, the Helixes when they weren't cherried at least, Proxy, and Baguska. Oh, and I made Princess Sprite once the entire tournament.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
I never saw the need to go into anything else. I never made Firewall, never made Gaia, never made Ningir Suit, never made World Chalice, whatever her name is.
What about Link Spider?
Never made
Big
that.
Biter.
Never made Coral, never made Ancient Fairy, and I never had Omega on board because it never did. So my MVP of the deck was Decode and Overload. Because there was a...
Alright, so you had something else to say?
Oh yeah. Borload, spicy. You Borload, they're Borload, then you Borload again, they're Borload.
It's kind of like how you big eye in Dragon Ruler format.
Like this man had my agent because he Borloaded my agent face down, and I was like, cool. I somehow, I don't know how I did it. I Gamma'd something. I Gamma'd his Ash, and then I activated Resort, and then I got the Quick Fix. I summoned Quick Fix, got the Big Red, get the double Helix back from the graveyard, and link up for Borload, and then steal his Borload, and then use his Borload to steal my agent back.
Slow it down.
This man was like,
those are cards.
Those are cards. I'm like, we in there.
Okay, we're gonna wrap it up real quick. We're already passing the 20-minute mark. The most important thing we want to talk about is those intangibles. I want, for the people that are trying to top that a bit, break that bubble. What are those intangibles? We're not talking about necessarily, you know, playing the best or, you know, having the skill level. We're talking about those little things that gave you the opportunities to win. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do. Actually, this is the thing I can say. And this is what I was telling everybody else who wasn't doing so hot at the regional that was playing Spiral. Whenever you're playing a deck, it's not so much about comboing off like everyone wants to. The combos are degenerate half the times, and that's great. Degeneracy in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is just a part of the game. But when I played, you have to know your matchups. You have to know what they can do and what's the best. What would a pro player do if they were playing against you? And what's the most optimal play they can make? And you try to assess your situation, and then based upon what you have.
So just being aware.
Basically, be aware of what you're gonna do and make the optimal play. Don't try and combo off half the time. That's the smartest thing. There were so many more times where I made Baguska over going into Helix because it was just more optimal. It was because I realized my opponent didn't have very much, so making Baguska gave me more resources because when you do try and go in there, you need to have the play. Because sometimes you make Helix with no follow-up and then you lose. You know what I mean? So just, I guess, play smart. Don't just try to make all the crazy combos.
Is there anything like outside of Yu-Gi-Oh, like non-Yu-Gi-Oh related?
Outside of Yu-Gi-Oh?
Like, you know, just something that obviously you're going to a Yu-Gi-Oh event, you're going to be playing Yu-Gi-Oh. But we want to talk about, is there anything non-Yu-Gi-Oh related that gave you the confidence or, you know, something that you have to go in, the type of mentality of a player that wants to win?
Managing your time is very important. I see a lot of players go into time and they lose or they get draws because of time. Understand tournament mechanics and how time works. If you know you're not going to win a game, and don't drag it out, just scoop it up, or you know, play a little bit slowly so you can drag it out. So if you're going to go into time, you can win in time because 5 turns is better than a whole duel because your opponent has recovery time.
Low key, you guys got to listen to these intangibles. These are the most important thing right here.
Knowing how to play in time is very important. Deck checking, making sure you keep track of how long they take your deck for, so that way you can, you know. Because I got deck checked the final round against Asala, and this man was... we were just sitting there for like a good 10 minutes, and they gave us our deck back, and they gave us the exact time. It's the reason I actually had an issue with my parent records in LA, because they took my deck, and they had deck check, and they cut my time short, actually. So that actually screwed up the way I was actually going to go into Game 3, and I was forced to get a draw by the head judge.
Oh, wow.
And so that kind of ruined my record, and it put me against people that I, you know... didn't really, and I kind of like, it can deviate you, you know.
Yeah.
If you're you know, on a hot streak going EXO and all of a sudden you're required to get a draw and it pushes you to play something you weren't expecting because, you know.
It could mess with you.
Table 500 decks are different from Table 2 decks. Okay, I'm just gonna keep it real.
I mean, it does separate it. You could be a really good player.
Yeah, like
you're not going to be at Table 500 if you got to be an honest assessment
like,
with yourself.
And honestly, you play the deck to beat top meta decks. You don't build decks to play against, you know, Magispectors, for crying out loud. Like, like targeting doesn't really do very much against them. So,
like, if you're gonna lose to Magispectors, okay, but don't prepare yourself for the bigger decks. That's what you're trying to say.
Yeah, so you know, if you're gonna play at the top, if you're planning to win the event, prepare your deck for the top, which means you have to stay at the top. Don't trickle down because you won't have the answers for the rest of your stuff. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I don't know. That's all I can think of right now.
All right, so we're about to wrap up this video. We're gonna get to the, you know, shout out part. Anything you want to say, all that other stuff, all that good stuff.
Yes. First of all, shout out to you, my sponsor, for getting me all the expensive cards I did to play this deck because. Yeah, evenly matches aren't cheap, and I'm not trying to spend money on that. And shout out to Oscar Velez and Joaquin for Well, Oscar for the deck list, the fire list, as we call it, and Joaquin for convincing me last
week. There ain't no Fire Fist cards in there, though.
It's no Fire Fist. And shout out to Mr. Wong and Harrison for finding me the last card, Pseudo Space. Literally, I had submitted my deck list and I still did not have this card.
Oh, shit.
So I kind of needed the card. So, and to Joe for getting me food because we was hungry after round 6 and we had no time. No time.
Oh man, well, thank you guys so much for watching another segment of the Cali Effect. I really hope you guys enjoyed this video, this player interview. Let's see if we can get even more likes and we'll have more player interviews, more interaction with the community, more ways to get you guys to the next level to win that event that you want to win. Please like, comment, subscribe, but most of all, fuck y'all niggas. Y'all ain't gonna say enjoy. All y'all get out of my house. Fuck y'all niggas. Straight up.